I call upon all nations to do everything they can to stop these terrorist killers. Thank you. Now watch this drive.
What does a fascist mean?
It means you are a far-right authorization ultra-analytic. Oh my God! Ultra-analyst.
We're joined now via hologram by Will I Am.
So they have a job and they have confidence that they can get another job if they need to. So that's a really tough nut for the Fed to crack.
I thank you. The A-team thanks you.
You're never going to get away with this. You'll have a union in this valley over my dead body.
That's exactly what I was telling our union members this morning.
Now watch this drive.
Episode 17. Watch this drive. Brought to you by the folks that bring you crime. As in, we do crime.
Are we all on the same page about what a cold open is?
December 29th.
Or do we need to refresh?
Oh, cold open. We've been nailing it, but I just jumped on the intro because I just wanted to drive you crazy.
So you're warming. You're making the open far too warm.
But what's funny is that
that is a professional opening.
Yeah, these notes actually have introduction. Doesn't say no introduction.
Yeah, well, I just added it in Comic Sans, all bold, all caps.
Oh, you're the one that did the Comic Sans?
Yeah.
Oh, I thought it was Drew.
No, that would have been even funnier. Terry Gross and Steve Inskeep would be jealous of the introduction I just performed. I just executed flawlessly.
You did.
Do you guys go on Instagram a lot?
No, I don't even have an account.
I go occasionally.
How's your algorithm?
I go there. I go there when people send me stuff to see on there. That's it. But I don't actually. I disabled my account a long time ago.
Randy, how's your algorithm on Instagram?
Shows me like 5 or 6 friends' pictures and then drops me into ads.
I've performed one of the most common modern sins where I've been engaging with content that I hate.
Oh yeah.
It makes it think that I like it. I mean, I guess it doesn't care how I feel about it, but it knows that I'm engaging with it. So it pushes me more of that content. And the content in question is really shitty coding posts. I send them to everybody that I know, and I love them, and I hate them. I'll give you an example. So
wait.
Yeah.
I haven't received one from you.
Well, you're not on Instagram. We've established this. Okay, here, Carl. Let me send you this one.
Okay.
I'll send you the link.
He doesn't respect you as a coder.
I know.
Yeah, what a piece of shit.
Yeah.
I know you are. That's exactly what he told me earlier. He's like, a piece of shit.
Yeah, that's okay.
Here, let me say that again. He said, "You're a piece of shit." There we go.
That was really good.
There was a delay. That was horrible.
Yeah, you should do it
fix
again.
that.
So this is a post on Instagram that I was suggested, and I'm not going to give the username of the probably content farm that's pushing these out because I don't want to give them any more followers to mislead. And at the same time, also, I don't want them to get roasted too hard if they are actually doing this in earnest and they just don't know any better. This purports to be an OTP generator post. And if you use this in production, you should be fired. It's written in JavaScript, and an OTP generator, one-time password generator, is essentially a function that is supposed to create a random list of numbers to like text you to confirm that you own the phone number or the email address that you're signing up with. So it's a one-time code.
We all get these all the time, yeah.
Yes. The problem with the way that it's implemented in this post is twofold. For one, they're using math.random for the core randomness engine to actually pick from a list of numbers randomly. And math.random in JavaScript in most implementations is not actually random. It's pseudo-random. And so if an attacker is able to figure out what the seed is for that generator, it's predictable. So don't use math.random for anything that requires security. There is a built-in crypto library to do not cryptocurrency, but to do things that are cryptographically secure that runs in Node.js on the back end. I'm pretty sure, I don't think it runs in Deno, but there's certainly a polyfill. And it also runs on every modern browser. Side note, I'm getting really excited because you go to MDN and you look at like the browser compatibility for these things, and you know it's not there anymore. You know it's not a column anymore.
No, I don't.
Internet Explorer.
Internet Explorer. Oh, okay. All
Internet
right.
Explorer
You just
is no
segued.
one-
That was a quick segue. You were talking about the OTP.
I know.
thing.
It was an aside. Anyways, coming back
You
into
just,
this post.
I have whiplash now.
The other problem with this, so Internet Explorer is dead. Good riddance. I love it. But the other problem with this is that you should never run this in a browser, because if you run this in a browser, the person can access. They can get it. They have access to it because it's running on their machine. So if you put in somebody's phone number and you run this OTP generator on the browser, you can scrape it.
Yeah,
and then you
can just scrape the return.
So this has 1,600 likes.
1,625.
It's wrong in many ways.
Drew, everything you just said is completely wrong because they have a flame emoji after OTP generator. So I mean, it's on fire. This is great. Like
also, I'm noticing now that there's a very clear watermark for an account that is not the account that posted this.
Yeah, it is a little weird.
So it's just being reposted all over the place. Yeah, so that's shitty, making people worse developers. And that's kind of the overall vibe of these posts that I get served. If I actually went after these, if I actually followed these or any of the influencers or most of the influencers, the programming influencers on Instagram or TikTok or whatever, you would be making the most hackable shit on the planet that also is not performant. Here's another one.
I'm sure this specific one is OpenAI has probably already scanned this. It's probably already part of the
that's probably in there.
Whatever.
These are probably, these are coming from OpenAI, getting pushed back into OpenAI. And this is all that's going to be left at the end of it. Yeah, people were talking a lot about like OpenAI making maybe like these transformer models, they'll end up being able to like break SHA encryption, or they'll be able to get within 1/1,000,000th accuracy, which is all that you need to make it irrelevant. They don't have to do that. They just have to keep making the defense shittier by suggesting bad code to people. Okay, did you guys get that?
Real quick, though, before we go into the new post, I am racking my brain. Like, when would you ever use something like this in the browser? Like, why does this exist? Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know.
Is it just like a fake little app? Like somebody's just like a teaching moment kind of thing?
Maybe? The only thing that post is good for is like showing you how to somewhat randomly select characters from a string.
Yeah.
But the use case that it pretends to be using it for is not how you should do it.
No, it sounds fancy though. It's very strange. It's very
that entire thing, by the way, if you do it right, that's one line of code. We're using the native modules that ship with Node or that run in V8.
Which is where it would be run naturally, is on a server, returning.
There's no.
It doesn't make any sense. Yeah, that you would.
It does not tell you to run it in the server. It doesn't give you any of that. And this is a problem that like exists with a lot of tutorials, even pre-shitting out all of these individual little posts on Instagram. Looking at game tutorials, this is a criticism. I'm not the first one to raise this criticism, but most of the times when you actually like look at a tutorial to do something in Unity, Godot, or any of those engines, they'll show you how to make the visual, but they will not talk about how to scale it. They will not talk about, the performance impacts or alternatives. Like there was a very famous, very widely distributed grass tutorial, like a foliage tutorial. And if you do it the way that they implement it in the system or in the tutorial, it starts to like eat up your entire GPU after you get to like a few thousand grass blades.
5 frames per second. It'll be awesome.
Yeah. And there's better ways to do it. So it's just, anyway, the whole tutorial industry is kind of like people are teaching things that they probably shouldn't be.
So the next one is avoid the delete keyword. Sorry.
This is actually one that there's some controversy around. The delete keyword in JavaScript. So in JavaScript, there are these things, and I'm not explaining this to you guys, but the JavaScript language contains, like many languages, the concept of objects and object literals. And an object in JavaScript is a key value pairs. So you've got one value is the key, and then there can be a value associated with that key. So like if you have a person, that could be represented as an object. If you have Randy, the Randy person object, they might have a property called name, and then that would say Randy, age, and that would show 79. And
I am not 79 years old.
He's 78.
You have that object, right? Okay, so say I don't want Randy corrects me on the age thing. I don't know Randy's actual age. He's an amalgam. He's a mystery. He's inscrutable to us. He is above us. His ways are not our ways. So I need to delete the age, right, from that. I don't want to set it to null. I don't want it to be 0. I just don't want that property anymore. I could use the delete keyword, which is the kind of the older school way of doing it.
I was just trying to set them up.
I would say delete Randy.age, right?
Mm-hmm.
That would change that original object. So it would just have the name on it. There's a new way to do that called the spread operator, where you're basically able to create a new object. And when you make a new object under the spread operator, part of the thing you can do in the syntax is pull properties out of it so they're not included in the new object. Both of those are fine, but the post is acting like it's bad to use a delete keyword. And from my knowledge, the only reason that it's a problem, the only reason that it could cause unexpected behavior is if your patterns really care about mutability of objects. Like if you, which I'm totally fine with. Like I'm a React guy, so immutable state all the way. But if you're trying to like make new things, if you're trying to take shit off of, there's nothing wrong with the delete keyword, basically in a vacuum, unless it's in a specific context. And I'm more interested in the comments on this one because somebody kind of brings this up. Somebody asks the question, why can't you use the delete keyword? Like what's wrong with you using the delete keyword? And then somebody else and this is in a sea of just everybody like doing the clapping hands emoji and like, yes, thank you for showing us the light, which by the way, the spread operator is great and I would prefer it, but it's not helpful because it's not actually explaining this to you and like the nuances. And so there's somebody that's like, why can't you do it? And the response is like, because it could cause a problem. It could cause problems when you're debugging. And then the guy, the person who's trying to bring reason is like, what problems? And then no response.
Mm-hmm. Well, this person does respond here and there to other questions.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I'm just browsing through here.
I get what you're saying though. It's just annoying because the title is like avoid the delete keyword. Like there's like it's gonna cause some fucking big issues with your code, but it's not.
Yeah, it would in specific context, but it would be helpful. What I'd like a version of this post that talks about the differences and like the different.
Yeah, but I feel that if you're using the delete keyword, you probably know what you're doing. You know, it's not going to be a problem.
Probably, but then you kind of see some of these comments and like there was one of the comments is like, but how do you remove the middle property? So the people that are consuming these earnestly just do not have, because okay, so for the listener, there's no middle in an object. The order of the keys don't matter, and they're not even guaranteed, so they can be in whatever order. But so just like comments like that are like, yeah, the people that are consuming this stuff do not have the existing knowledge to be able to even think about things in this way. So they're just kind of accepting things at face value. And I want to send you one more.
Jesus
there is
Christ,
a comment.
The longest cold open ever.
Unpredictable
behavior. It's not a cold open because Randy warm open does.
Unpredictable behavior with object mutation in JavaScript. You're just posting this so that people comment because it's 100% bullshit and you know it, right? That's everything Drew just said, but summed up in like 25 words.
Yeah. I'm glad they used the word mutation.
We need to bring Jeffrey Robertson. Jeffrey Robertson, come onto the show.
Yeah, welcome. Here's the one more. This one's just
somebody does point out for code readability, I still use delete. I can see that. I could definitely see that. It's definitely
also, yeah, when you're operating in a TypeScript context, none of this shit actually really matters that much. Like it's way harder to get unexpected behavior, no matter which way you use. Although I know that like a bunch of linting setups, default linting configs will warn or error on usage of the delete keyword, but that's just opinion. Like that's just an opinionated thing. Save for the fact that if your stack cares about mutability versus immutability.
What the fuck is this?
How normal people seen every programming. Wait,
this isn't even
is this
good English.
Grammatically?
No, this is terrible.
How normal people see every programming language. I don't even know what. Okay, I understand what they're getting at. Yeah,
this is just a fun one because it's like this pretentious bullshit where on the left you have a male presenting person, cartoon character labeled developer with the OPER weirdly highlighted for some reason. And
yeah, I was about to point that out. Like, why
you see the Python, JavaScript, HTML, CSS, Ruby, and then on the right it's labeled normal people, and you have this dumb woman who only cares about TikTok on their phone and Instagram on their phone, and they just see all of that stuff as code. And that's how you know that if you're following this person, if you're getting served this content, that you're a smart dude, because you don't think like the dumb woman. You know those languages exist. You certainly don't know them, but you do know that they exist. I just thought that was kind of more indicative of like
So the developer has Shutterstock watermarks.
Oh my god, yeah, he does. Yeah, he does.
And the woman has what looks like a watermark. I can't recognize the stock photo watermark. It looks kind of like maybe parentheses.
He's a developer, not an artist, Randy.
So both of these are stolen. Presumably, I mean,
and then if you scroll to the right,
watermark. Yeah, it's Google wants to teach you AI for free.
Enroll for free. Registration link in our Telegram channel. Link in bio.
So it's like a modern Nigerian prince.
Yeah, this is just like a cool little sub economy of people being shit on and taken advantage of, but for learning programming poorly.
Here's somebody's why programmers think they are aware of an entirely hidden world that other people are miserably unaware of. Chill out. We know what codes are.
Yeah, people know codes. We know they know what codes are.
We know what codes are.
We just are not interested. We pay some nerds to read and write for us in all these in these languages. That's all. ...
I do like the comment that says ha 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 HTML CSS dash code HTML CSS.
Oh, I didn't even notice they had
ha ha.
HTML is not a programming language. That's what
I love these little fucking clicks. These little
I know.
These
it's a markup language. It's not a programming language.
Yeah, it's a markup language. Like everything else with web development, though, has had the most insane shit grafted on top of it. So
yeah, I mean,
it is extremely capable on its own.
I'm guilty of being one of those pedantic fools early in my career, but come on.
I'm still one of those pedantic fools.
You have to learn, like, HTML is basically communicating with a browser on how to render, the box element, how to render the DOM.
Nope, that's the CSS and JavaScript.
The people that say HTML is not a programming language have clearly
how to lay out the DOM in some basic way. It's
have
never touched the HTML5 canvas object.
You know what's pissed me off though about
canvas is a tag and then you interact with it through JavaScript.
About the modern JS and HTML5 quote unquote is that there was this huge push for several years to make HTML semantic, very semantic. Like we got sections, we got headers, footers, and H1s, and there's all these documents, and there was this whole like layout thing that Chrome had for a while that like it could like wasn't a layout, it was like a you could click it and it would show you the hierarchy of the page and you could see all of those things. It was really cool. And then React came out or something like it, and basically there's like, yeah, no, fuck that. Divs for everything again. It's just like and then on top of that there's just like it's just like the ad, all the crap that you have to inject into your page just for ads and shit. It's just like it's all just a fucking mess. There's iframes everywhere. There's there's divs everywhere. Like you look at like especially like MUI or something like that, and it's just like your images aren't just image tags anymore. They're like 7 layers deep with an image finally in there that's wrapped in 4 spans, 5 divs, and a bunch of other shit.
The semantic markup stuff for HTML is an extremely good case study, I think, on the arms race between Google and AI or natural language understanding, and then like trying to get developers to implement best practices. The semantic HTML stuff was a way to signal things to the to search engines, to crawlers about, hey, this is how the page is structured. And they've kind of given up on that for the most part.
Yeah.
And
I mean, it was beyond crawlers, though. There was like accessibility reasons and stuff like that.
Yeah, it was mainly accessibility reasons.
There was always an alternative, though, with like ARIA tags and stuff like that. And I see exactly, like, to your point, Drew, though. It was like a race between screen readers and web crawlers, and the Googles of the world, and HTML or developers. And there's like a meeting in the middle, and developers were doing like all the heavy lifting when it came to the actual semantic tagging, like nav and footer and all that stuff. But the crawlers and accessibility agents just caught up. They didn't need it. They've got contextual clues based on just regular divs of what the meaning of the page was without having to do all the nav and footer and all that stuff. A lot of it's still there, though. A lot of
the nav and the footer is still there. The stuff, I mean, and those are very useful. The stuff that I don't see as often is the like aside and the
There are extremely obscure HTML tags.
They are and they aren't.
Well,
I mean,
many browsers just port them to divs
and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I understand. It's just
some of it might have been
one of those things where
heavy-handed in the as far as understanding, because when you don't explain it to a pedantic developer of exactly when to use a section tag, like, yeah, they're just going to use a div.
Yeah. No, I mean, I get that. It's just one of those things where, again, it's like, it's almost like it didn't really have time. they pushed it out with all of these things, and then it was like everybody was all about semantic markup for like I want to say like maybe a year, maybe 2 years, you know, and where it was really kind of everyone's like semantic, and then all of a sudden it was just like we don't need semantics. You know, Facebook said we don't need semantics, so let's not worry about it.
Yeah, but again, a lot of it is still being used, just not everything.
Sure, we're using it because it's more like what we used before, you know, like sure it makes sense to use a nav tag for your navigation or a footer, but you know, if you look at any of these like Bootstrap and stuff like that, like none of them are semantic. And their shit's wrapped so many layers deep it wouldn't matter anyway.
What's the game, Drew?
I'm gonna name some HTML tags, and you guys are gonna tell me if they're real or not.
Oh, geez.
Yes.
Well, technically anything's real with XHTML.
Well, yeah, and with web components and shit.
Is anything real though?
No, it's all fake.
Okay, here's a tag called.
It's real.
What?
No, it's real. Wow.
Hold on a second.
Jeez, mechanical keyboard.
Hold on a second. This is a. I cannot believe this is working. Okay, this is a HTML tag called field set.
Yes,
the
it's
fields.
Real. Yeah, that's real. Yeah,
100%.
You know that?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I even know that.
Okay, how about
that's old.
How about the word break opportunity tag?
Word break opportunity tag?
It's a tag that defines certain positions in a text where it would be okay for a line break to be added, but not necessary.
I know no breaks, but yeah, I don't know that one.
That sounds more like a CSS rule than an actual tag, but I want to say that did exist and maybe it's deprecated.
It does exist. Okay, how about the teleport HTML tag, which is a tag that allows you to swap content between one place and another with a data attribute.
No,
just make that up. If you just made that up, that was really good.
Yeah.
You said a data attribute and they're the same, and then you have one on and one off. It'll just swap the content back and forth. Is that real or not?
I mean, that sounds useful.
Yeah, it totally sounds useful.
It's not real.
Okay.
But I didn't make it up. ChatGPT made it up.
Oh, that's good. That's really good.
I made up some shitty ones too. Levitation. This tag would allow you to make the contents of an element float in the midair on the page.
Very useful.
Telekinesis. This tag would allow you to move the contents of an element with your mind.
When do you think Blink became deprecated?
Could you imagine? Could you imagine?
Blink was real.
Once we get Neuralink in our brains and we can use the telekinesis tag on our pages.
That would be
that sounds cool. That sounds cool.
That would be very, very good.
Okay, let me give you another one.
This is a fun game.
Let me give you one more.
Feels like whose line is it anyway, where the points don't matter.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll give you a trump card if you win.
Okay.
How much are those worth right now?
Like $10.
The data list tag.
Data list?
It sounds like it could be a thing, but I don't think it is.
I don't think so, but I you know, it's funny because I do think I've read something like that.
That sounds really, really plausible, though.
It does.
What do you think it does?
Lists data.
What would you even like? What like you have a JavaScript array or something, and then you'd want to list it out without iterating over? I don't know. That's
it's more boring than that.
I feel like a data list would basically be a table.
Yeah.
Data list
I wasn't thinking about that.
Specifies a list of predefined options for an input element.
Oh yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. Who does that?
Obviously not us.
No, you would simply use a component library to handle autocomplete.
Yeah.
Like an adult. Some nerds wrote that, not me.
All right, so we want to talk about the economic incentives of digital advertising versus emerging technologies.
I guess.
I mean, we could do the album on display.
I was like, are we skipping over the album on display?
That's Piano Man, Billy Joel.
That's good. That's good. Can you actually see that there's
I can see a piano. I can see a guy on a piano. It looks like either a very busy wallpaper or a lot of people.
It's a lot of people. It's like a jazz. It's like a little speakeasy.
Ooh, you guys are good. You guys are so far really good.
That's not what it looks like to me.
It is not Piano Man though.
Hold on.
I actually picked out this record cover specifically for Drew. I don't know why. Just when I saw it, I'm like, oh yeah, I have this, and I bet you Drew would be interested in the album cover. It has a flag of a very prominent political party that really gained prominence in the 40s.
I've seen this. Oh shoot, I know this one. God damn it. Oh well.
It is a jazz record. I'll give you that.
Yeah, of course it's a jazz record. I don't know why you listen to jazz.
This is a really good
reverse image search seems to think that is an American woodcock.
It is not an American.
You have a bird on display.
Reverse image search on my end seems to think that it is actually a washing tag for a T-shirt.
Like a tag to tell you whether you can mix it with darks.
Like it says, 100% polyester contrast, 100% rayon lining, 100%
Here, this
polyester.
one's good. So I'm gonna zoom. I'm gonna bring it closer. I think my headphones will actually reach, so I don't have to do that.
You got some wireless ones? You ready some AirPods?
I should have wireless ones, but all right. I don't want to just totally give it away to you guys. All right. Let's see. How far can I get it? Okay. Here, I'll cut off the title.
Okay.
Oh god, it's too reflected.
Oh, I can see it.
All right. I'm gonna bring her in.
Oh, now it's super reflected. That looks like a squirrel.
Where's the flag? Oh, there's a gun on the table.
Yep.
Is this
the first?
Oh, there's a gun. He's got a gun on him. Oh shit! That's a swastika.
Yeah, that's why it's in the.
Oh my god! Is
isn't
this
it? Like on the floor?
This is the first one you've actually done that I've heard about.
It not only has a Nazi flag, but look who's next. Look what's next to the Nazi flag. Sorry, this is really difficult for me to do. There's actually another person in the.
That's actually not a Nazi flag, though.
Oh, get off with that! It could be.
It's not.
Okay, there's two sides of the flag, man. There's an actual German soldier tied up to a chair.
Right.
Or
so this
officer,
is like
I should say, a German officer, a Nazi officer tied up to a chair. There's a table with grenades and whiskey with a revolver, and there's like a CB radio, a bunch of grapes.
Not sure how anybody could interpret that as Nazis are good.
What is the album? I know this, but I can't think of it.
Thelonious Monk Underground.
Ah.
That's the I zoomed in. I didn't know if you could read it.
I couldn't read it.
Like right on top.
So what's the background?
Well, Thelonious Monk, he came out of the bebop era, but he kind of reinvented the whole. So bebop is Dizzy Gillespie, Charlie Parker, like really the jazz that everyone hates, that listeners do not like because it's frantic, like you're just throwing a million notes at the wall.
It's just an excuse to play the wrong notes.
Yeah, that kind of thing.
That kind of jazz.
So, a word about the cover photograph. Although the illustration on the album cover may seem a trifle bizarre to the uninitiated, knowing intimates of Monk will recognize the setting as that of his studio, an important part of his Manhattan apartment. There's memorabilia of an adventurous and rich, rewarding life. Most noticeable, perhaps, is the Nazi stormtrooper. As real as he looks, he is stuffed, a trophy of Monk's forays as a member of the French resistance movement in World War II, the famed FFI.
He's got a taxidermied World War II person.
A lot of this is fake, though. A lot of it is staged, and it's
he's doing it for the likes.
Performance. Yeah,
he did it for the likes, for the views.
So
it's clickbait.
It's very interesting, though. It's super, super interesting.
Yeah, that is interesting.
Why did
it make you think of me?
Because it was interesting, and provocative. No, because it's interesting, provocative, and kind of like I don't even know how to describe it. Like he's in on a joke or something.
Yeah.
So just remind.
Yeah, well, because it's very clearly like, Nazis are bad and we should kill them, but
no, we should taxidermy them.
But
yeah, exactly.
Like including the flag itself is clearly a wing because you're gonna still be mad about it.
I think any Nazi imagery on an album cover is just going to be met with a certain, provocative kind of nature. But
when did the album come out?
I'll find out in a second.
1968.
68. Oh, okay. So this is a later one. This is well past bebop then. Like as far as the the movement. This is definitely Thelonious Monk in his elder years.
Yeah, I'll check it out.
It's interesting though. I mean, I have a hard time describing his music. It's very, very math rock. To come back to an indie rock term.
What is math rock? Because I feel like I've heard that term every week now for the last 3 months.
Not from me, probably, right? Or is it?
Well, I don't know. I think the last album was also like people talking about it.
Yeah, definitely. Hell Out Should Add is definitely math rock. I don't know. It's just another fancy term probably for progressive rock, like prog rock that's not so anthemic. So it's not like Rush, It's not
it's
like these
characterized by complex rhythmic and instrumental patterns.
Yeah, so you get a lot of odd time signatures. You get a lot of 5/4 and 7/8
and changing time signatures.
Mm-hmm.
Like I mean, like Mars Volta's math rock.
Mars Volta is definitely math rock, and their predecessor At the Drive-In is definitely math rock.
Mm-hmm.
They
so it's just
actually
harder music.
No, not necessarily. It doesn't have to be a brace. Oh, harder. Yes, more difficult to perform.
Yeah, like more difficult to actually.
It would be venturing away from like your standard. It's deviating from your standard like 4/4. Regular 4-chord.
And it's definitely not formulaic in any way.
No.
And honestly,
can we recreate the Instagram post where there's like the dumb person on the right that says rock, and then there's the smart person Randy on the left that's just like all the different types of rock.
But this is
like the subgenres of rock.
This kind of stuff is way before. So he does these like really syncopated, strange rhythms on the piano. At first, it could be jarring. It's abrasive and jarring, but not like metal abrasive, not like hardcore abrasive, but just something that's like, what is going on? It's like very off kilter, and it's not just the notes. It's not meaning like he's playing some dissonant scale or some strange configuration, even though he does do that as well. The piano becomes more of a percussive instrument as well as a melodic instrument when Thelonious Monk plays it. It's very interesting.
It's why I hate jazz.
No, it's not. You don't even
know. Right, because you want everything to fit neatly into a little box, Carl?
I think...
who else thought like that? Check the album cover again. Look where he ended up.
I think it's just that, like Randy was saying earlier, that genre of music, it's that bad rap. Or that era of that genre of music.
Ironically, and I'm not going to try to like put you on blast or anything, but I just read this article. Basically, it's summarized that jazz, predominantly a black music, born within the inner city or what have you. The reason jazz was defanged as far as a provocative music was because Berkeley got a hold of it. The big sound music education institutions got a hold of it and adapted it to white culture. And at this point, and I don't know if this is New York University or Berkeley or what have you, but at this point, the jazz curriculum has 0 black people. Like all the professors and faculty.
Wow.
It's like, wow.
And then with the title of that album, like tying and connecting that to like underground in terms of the French resistance in World War II, that is very interesting. And having like taking that more militant approach.
People look at jazz nowadays, especially this era of jazz, and really jazz that exists currently is totally ignored. People look at it like it's a high art, like classical music or something. Like John Coltrane is Beethoven because they study it in the university. But Thelonious Monk and John Coltrane were closer to,
Nirvana.
No, Kendrick Lamar and Kanye West and Tupac Shakur.
Well, Kanye West probably have a different take on that album
different
cover.
Kind of thing.
A lot of things.
Well, Miles Davis went a little nuts too. Not that nuts, but he went a little nuts.
We are now a music podcast.
Yeah, sorry. And our listeners, if anybody's really into music, are probably screaming into the ether right now because I am not describing Thelonious Monk with any respect whatsoever.
Send your description of Thelonious Monk, which is better than Randy's, to us at wedocrime.com/voicemail.
Exactly.
wedocrime.com/dunk on Randy's musical analysis.
That's not real, but the first one's real.
I will tell you straight up, though, music theory and the education and the academia surrounding music theory is completely a white supremacist thing. And we can argue about that if you want to. Not right now, but sometime in the future.
I'm not going to argue with you.
This week on Watch This Drive, music is woke left.
Actually, if you want to know more, check out Adam Neely, Neely on YouTube. He has an episode about that. Very, very interesting.
The economic incentives of digital advertising versus emerging technologies.
So I did check out this Elon, or I was exposed to this Elon. It was a Spaces thing, right?
I was listening to Twitter Spaces like I always am whenever Elon shows up, because that is such a rich vein of it's so good because you get to watch the most powerful person in the world behave exactly like the middle manager you hate, who doesn't actually know what they're doing, and you realize that it goes all the way up, and so it's a lot of fun. But he said something that really piqued my interest in a recent one, where he was talking about advertising on Twitter, and people were kind of talking about improving Twitter's ad functionality, improving their ads business, adding new features to attract more advertisers. And he made a comment where he kind of tipped his hand and revealed that he does not know what the game is all about.
And I can summarize. I know exactly what he said.
Please do.
Yeah, so essentially he said he doesn't see any reason why you would not want to optimize advertising to relevancy for the users, and why you would ever give the option to advertisers to optimize for impressions. So relevancy, which would be equated to probably optimized to click, so cost per click kind of thing, where you would tailor your spend to whatever audiences are giving you the most clicks versus tailoring your spend with whatever audiences are giving you the most views. And the trouble with this is you have multiple approaches when it comes to advertising. In some cases, if it's a brand awareness campaign, you very well may want to just optimize to the impression. And Apple does this. Like a lot of giant Nike, a lot of these huge corporations do that very thing, because they might not have a product that's quite ready to convert on. Like maybe it's just gaining hype or something. So you might want to optimize to impression, or they want to do a competitive landscape kind of evaluation. So they want to show up wherever their competitors' audiences are. So maybe they're selling shoes like Nike or whatever, and they just want to show up wherever Adidas is or whatever Puma is or what have you. So basically
we can't cede the Be Real front to the bastards at Puma. We're Nike, God damn it.
Elon Musk,
gonna take this shit?
To Drew's point, really tipped his hand by saying, well, I don't understand. Basically, he was saying, we are going to change Twitter's algorithm to only be to have advertisers to be available for relevancy.
Yeah,
which is taking more of a consumer. He's taking more of a consumer first approach. So thinking from a consumer standpoint, which a lot of people are guilty of because they don't really think from an advertiser's point of view or from a brand point of view or from a marketing point of view. So instead, he is internalizing his own experience on these social networks and saying, well, why would I ever want to see an ad that's not relevant to me?
Yeah, and it's almost like he sells a product that costs $100,000. Like it's almost like that's the only thing he's ever sold.
Yeah, but see, he is doing exactly what a lot of these advertisers do with the impression thing every day, because he is in the news cycle. Tesla is in the news because Elon is in the news, and therefore his brand awareness is just through the roof.
That's all share price though, but like that doesn't actually inform like the marketing campaigns. When your margins are that high, you can have you can measure it effectively and be like, yeah, it's going to cost me $8,000 per conversion, but that's okay.
And you have to look at it like, okay, so there's this whole thing called a conversion funnel, which is a lot of people in the SEO space or what have you in the search engine optimization space would know this, which is you do certain keywords, you optimize certain keywords for your broad audience, and then when you get narrowed down to people that are really close to like buying the thing that you want to sell, then you might narrow that keyword and spend more money or what have you for fewer people. So what he doesn't seem to understand is that you need money in all sections of the funnel in order to funnel people in order to narrow down. So at one point you might have a message that is tailored toward the higher funnel, the top funnel people, and then you might have a completely different message tailored toward the people that are ready to buy. Like going back to the shoe analogy. I don't know why I keep on doing the shoe analogy. But if someone's in the market for shoes, that's different than someone being in the market for Air Jordans. So you don't want to come out with a message specifically about the benefits of Air Jordans when they're just in the market for shoes. You want to figure out what they're in the market for when it comes to shoes. It might be dress shoes, it might be loafers, it might be whatever, and then narrow it down to, oh, are you in the market for tennis shoes or basketball shoes or whatever, or fancy whatever? Does anyone even play basketball in Air Jordans anymore? I don't know.
This actually
Kids'
just made me
shoes.
wonder why Air Jordans aren't all types of shoes now. Like
Yes,
I could totally see like Nike Air Jordan dress shoes.
But again, Elon has no idea how this works. So for a company that's 100% dependent, except for now you can get like the Twitter Blue subscription or whatever, was 100%
Is 92% dependent.
Yes, on ad revenue. It's fundamentally important for you to understand, as the CEO of an ad dependent company, to understand how marketing and advertising works. In its most basic, like you don't have to get into the crazy business analysts like the nutsos that we work at PetSmart.
I want to very badly, because I want to talk about my maybe my take on it is, because yes to everything that you said 100%, but
Yeah.
This is, to me, one of the interesting things about this is one of the things that he said in the Twitter space was like, well, because he kind of got pushback on that, like people in the Twitter space, which I don't know why he does those, because he always gets fucking
I don't understand.
annihilated.
Why is he ever signing into them? Yeah.
But there's a person, maybe he actually does buy his own shit more than I think he does. I've kind of always assumed that he's like completely
every time
cynical.
I've heard him in the Twitter space and someone claps back at him with some actual facts, he usually says, that person has no idea what they're talking about.
Can we mute this guy, please?
Yeah, mute him.
Yeah, so he got a little bit of pushback, and he actually kind of gotten a little bit of a back and forth with somebody who said, no, people like really do expect to be able to do like really super hyper micro targeted stuff, and they like need to be able to address users at different stages of the funnel and all this stuff. And the efficacy of that, we've talked about it not on the show before, but we have talked about how like a lot of that stuff is mostly like bullshit, and that like your general, like not like the funnel stuff, but the actual like hyper micro targeting, like, oh, I want to try to target people that have been at a Puma store within the last like 7 days, and maybe there's a correlation there between people who do that, like whatever. But
I agree
advertisers,
with your show note that says mostly bullshit. That is completely I mean, people do that, marketers love that shit, but it's complete bullshit.
Yeah, it is like the efficacy of it is definitely in question, but they need to do it because they need to justify their own existence. And there's so many different, it's like the SEO industry that's not really relevant anymore. Like there are so many different little cottage industries that have sprung up around like hyper targeting and optimizing your funnels and like doing all of this extremely granular stuff. And we have these entire economic systems kind of like built around them, entire economies, like the big agencies want it to be complicated and hard because that's what justifies their existence. And everybody in those agencies, obviously, that's why they have a job. So they also want it to be that way. However, so he is kind of right, Elon. Well, he's completely right that it would be better if paid marketing essentially just used the same recommendation algorithm and just got a little boost for money, basically. Like that would be a simpler approach. And then you can have even more complicated AI models that can kind of handle the funnel stuff, the conversion stuff. I think eventually, like it's unavoidable that more of that stuff is going to get put into these systems, but that is not good for Elon Musk.
If you listen to exactly what he said, though, he's actually a little bit more into the micro-targeting side of things because he just wants ads that are relevant to his interests.
Well, no, but he said specifically they can just use the recommendation system, and he's like, I talk to advertisers, by which he means the CEOs of the actual companies that are going through ad agencies, which do not have the same incentives as the ad agencies, who are actually giving them all the money. He's like, I talked to them, and they said they would love it if it was just like the TikTok algorithm for ads, basically. From my understanding, like that's kind of what he's pitching, and maybe I'm
the thing that he got direct pushback on was why would you ever do a cost per impression campaign?
Okay.
Why would you ever optimize to just impressions, like get it to as many eyeballs as possible? Which impression values just mass quantity and over quality of relevancy. So it's basically the Nike and Apple approach. The Nike and Apple approach do not use micro-targeting. Now, Nike and Apple approach is ubiquity because Apple understands fundamentally that the more phones they get in more hands, they don't care about who might be in the game to get a phone, who might be actually. All they care about is getting mass.
Yeah, they want to be visible. And
they know that the coolness factor can only be gained if you hit critical mass. And Nike is the exact same way. So if everyone in America has an iPhone, then Android users will be looked at as like aliens. and that's what Nike does as well.
It's also because they have that alien robot as their logo.
I do want to touch on like
well.
the cost of this stuff though, and like because we touch on how many jobs are bullshit, and a lot of those jobs are in these spaces, these advertising spaces. I think that it's fair to say that digital marketing, like whether it's cost per impression, cost per click, it's quite the bubble.
Yeah.
And we've seen some air let out of that already, but part of what drives that bubble is the need for it to be able to print so much money.
Mm-hmm.
And the justification for that is complexity, is what people will pitch as like arcane secret and knowledge on how to like game these systems and target people the best and build these inbound marketing strategies or these hyper complex multi-pronged campaign rollouts. And so if you make all of that completely algorithmic, and it's already kind of starting to happen a bit, if everything is just algorithmic and you can prove, the results are better when we just put it through this black box system and we don't have to touch it or look at it, that really kind of reduces the justification to have these massive ad agencies that are moving billions of dollars around.
Yeah, I'm honestly kind of surprised that these things aren't already done, kind of like how Betterment does stocks.
But that will decrease, that will let air, it will necessarily, those incentives will change, and it will necessarily continue letting air out of the bubbles, and it will make the ad agencies less profitable, and it will make the platforms less profitable. Because if your CPMs and your cost per clicks are dropping, and you're the platform and your product is your user, that means your overall revenue potential is also decreasing with it. So Elon Musk, these ad agencies, they all have an incentive to keep CPMs and cost per clicks as high as humanly possible.
Mm-hmm.
And you don't, so it's a very interesting conflict there, because they want to, like, his instinct is, oh, well, let's just be cool and use AI for it. But it's
Real
like,
quick
well,
note,
actually,
though.
What?
His incentive is to keep it less, keep cost per impressions and cost per clicks as low as possible.
As low as possible? I would think it would be as
high as possible. Sorry, as high as possible. But the media agencies, as far as like place in the media, they're just going off of the marketing budget that they're given by their client.
Yeah.
So that's like a static variable. It's a constant. So really, if they get fewer impressions because the impressions cost more, it's not really going to change.
So this is okay. So then that's a good point. So I'm doing causation.
You got to look at you got to look at return of investment of the marketing spend, which is a really hard thing. And that's why a lot of this the micro targeting exists, is because it gives you a better attribution for the return on investment. Because a billboard hanging, on I-75.
No, so you have better stats, right? Like your stats are better because you can say, okay, this campaign performed this way, like this analyst. And so again, that's another job created basically to be able to like run those reports. And but my point is, so I was doing causality in the wrong direction. The agencies, they don't have an incentive to keep for CPMs to be high, for cost per click to be high, but their existence is part of what makes those numbers so high. And so if you shift the responsibility of running those campaigns, doing that reporting, doing that targeting to the platforms, to their black box algorithms, basically, then what the fuck do you need an ad agency for at that point?
Well, who would be placing the ads?
You hire two 20-year-olds to have an in-house marketing team, and you just
try to do that, and it doesn't work out that well.
Imagine a world where there is extremely little by way of the things you can actually configure for these platforms, because we find out that if you just give it the keywords and the topics and the shit, you run it through these systems and it will do all the targeting for you, and it's going to optimize.
Yeah, that's not really the complicated part about placing the media, though. It's not like configuring any of that stuff is rocket science. Yeah, each platform is a little different and what have you. The real value of the advertising agency is that they have very close relationships with the platforms and they get media for cheaper. That's it. It's like that. It's the same is true since the 60s, like the Mad Men kind of. The first episode of Mad Men, first season, episode 1, somebody's getting a walkthrough. I think it's the secretary, the president's daughter in West Wing, whatever her name is. She's Handmaid's Tale. I forget the actress's name, but she's getting a walkthrough. and she's getting an explanation of how advertising works. And the reason people go to ad agencies, and this is back in the 60s, is because ad agencies would buy media. So they buy the different pieces of a newspaper and magazines, you know, whether it be like
they buy ad inventory like in bulk, basically.
Ad inventory in bulk, and then they sell it for still a discount, but they make a little bit of profit by selling it to industries. And that's exactly
but I just see one major trend that to me signals the overall flattening of these types of relationships and less emphasis on like the bulk buying or whatever, which is that everyone is an influencer. So like every person, like every individual person with a TikTok account, for example, you probably get prompted to like promote your posts. And so like everyone have with their like little side hustles, like everyone that's just trying to find friends or whatever the fuck, like trying to build an audience for whatever.
Advertisers are paying those influencers to do that.
What do you mean?
I mean, there's influencer campaigns that are.
No, I know, like, but that's, I mean, paying those. I'm talking about like individual people like paying TikTok to boost their posts.
Okay.
I can't imagine that the bulk deals that you're getting for buying a bunch of but you're not really even buying inventory on these platforms.
Well, you are to an extent, because you can demand your cost per clicks and cost per impressions are lower because of how high your spend is. You know, so it's like a volume buy. It's not exactly bulk in the same sense as like the Mad Men 60s.
No, I get that, but I just I don't know.
Meaning agencies, I think you think that agencies are charging, like specifically media agencies, you know, the media or the media department within agencies are charging a bunch of money because of the complexity of the buy or what have you. It's not really that. It's just the fact that they're in that space and they work with it all day long and they have reps and they, you know, that's just,
but that's what I'm saying. Like there's that industry, like inside baseball knowledge that is only able to exist because of complexity.
Yeah, to an extent, there is some level of complexity. I mean, I don't think like, you know, the Guild of Blades, that website that we tore apart, is going to be able to navigate those waters very easily.
Nor are they even going to want to, in all honesty. Like it's no, because they have the task of, you know, just managing their business, you know, and keeping their own shit going.
But at the same time,
they don't want to worry about like all of the minute details that come with placing ads and stuff.
That is probably a good 40%, 30% of your business is marketing and advertising, though.
No, I understand that it's marketing and advertising, but like getting into like the nitty gritty and into the weeds of it.
That's why they hire an agency. Yeah,
exactly.
But that's what I'm saying.
They don't have time for that.
You're removing the weeds, like by pushing everything into algorithmic.
Everything is algorithmic, though. I mean, to place.
No, I know that,
Twitter
but you don't.
Ad,
But
like
you're still charging like media planner. You're still like, we have like 15 media planners. Why the fuck do we have 15 media planners?
Because we have like 25, 30 clients.
I know that, but if you don't have to plan the media if you just basically say, hey, TikTok, this is the product, this is what it looks like. Start showing it to people.
You got to do that for every platform. You got to do that for Facebook and TikTok and Twitter.
Kinda, but there's so many aggregator platforms.
Terrestrial radio.
I know how it works now, but I'm saying that like I guess the main thing that I'm trying to illustrate is the conflict between the existing economic incentives of the existing players, the big players in the space, and the emerging technology and the capacity for simplification when it comes to this stuff. And the way that those interact. And the funny part about it is that Elon Musk is in the middle of it and he doesn't understand what's going on.
He has no clue. Yeah, no clue.
But I mean, I guess, is it fair for me to say that like the big agencies have an incentive to keep things as complicated as possible? Or at least to project that it's more complicated than it is.
Well, I mean, I think it's because it is complicated. I don't think there's a real easy way to simplify unless we had like one social network or something.
No, but that's what I'm saying. Like the Elon, like what I understood Elon's pitch to be, and I think which is somewhat naive just because it ignores the economics and his position in it, is that he thinks that advertising should function in the same way that organic recommendation functions, which is to say that the audiences are built on the fly when new topics are introduced.
Yeah, and there are a lot of people within advertising agencies that have that exact same argument. The only thing that is confusing to me is
that's usually attached to it, and we're going to do that for you.
Yeah, to an extent. Yeah, for sure. I mean, they're in the business of making money, so yeah, they're going to always try to input themselves into the situation to say, yeah.
I'm just saying, I think that becomes harder and harder to do if you reduce the complexity associated with running campaigns generally.
I do think that the elimination of, say, micro-targeting would probably be a reduction of ad spends potentially. No, well, I wouldn't even say
no.
that
The spends stay the same. I'm not saying the spends stay the same. I'm just saying a lot of people lose their job.
A lot of people, yeah. If you didn't have to like do all the audience crap and like, you know, especially in today's world with the CPRA and GDPR and all these like privacy laws where you can't get any PII legally. Exchanging PII is very, you know, when you're trying to target people, you obviously have to learn a certain amount of information about those individuals, and you get into rough waters when it comes to certain legislations. I mean, everybody, the whole cookie list thing and what have you. So if that was eliminated, yeah, there wouldn't be a need for as many bodies to cover an ad campaign. You could probably have
and you
one
wouldn't even
person,
with the PII stuff. Like that's another great example of why like there's a technical and simplicity incentive to do this kind of thing, because if it is more of a black box, you're not collecting any information. You don't need information. You're not doing retargeting campaigns. You're just letting it do its thing. So I guess that's my overall point, is that there is a conflict at the center of this. Old money, if I can call it that, stands in the way of. It's funny to even talk about any of this, like with any type of like, because we're talking about advertising. Fuck all of it. I don't give a shit. But it is interesting to see that there are these two competing forces.
There is one thing though that you keep on saying, like as far as the incentive, the ad agencies might actually be more incentivized to lose the micro targeting, because then they could make more money, because they're going to end up.
Well, you can fire.
They're
people.
going to end up with this. Yeah, they're going to fire people and then take more media profits, because the ad spends are probably not going to change. In my example of Apple does not do micro targeting. Apple does very little in the digital space. Most of their spend is in the what would be considered linear or terrestrial, like the old school like media, which is television advertisements, and you know, you got your pre-roll for YouTube videos and stuff like that, but it's not tailored to a specific audience, because again, they see themselves as a critical mass product that wants to advertise. Every eyeball in the United States of America, in the world really, they want to see the beautiful, you know, iPhone 14 or whatever. They don't care that Sue in Alabama is in the market for a new device and could very well fit within the mold of blah blah blah. They don't do that. They don't play that. Nike doesn't play that. A lot of these huge brands
that's what the providers do. That's what AT&T does instead for them.
Yeah, I mean, even that though.
Verizon.
That advertising is actually covered by AT&T in an agreement in order to have exclusive rights to iPhone reimbursement plan. It's a whole complex web of freaking exploitation or what have you. But the point is, whoever's running Apple's iPhone campaign is probably running on fewer people than we run some PetSmart stuff, because the PetSmart stuff demands, if this person's over 66 and needs knee surgery, you know, we only want to advertise to this person who has a net worth of $250,000 or whatever. You know, these like
they probably have more creatives though.
Specific. Oh yeah, they definitely do have more creatives. Apple handles some of the creative in-house, my understanding too. They have their own marketing department. But the ad agency is dealing with a huge freaking multi-million-dollar, $100 million ad campaign regardless.
So yeah, maybe the ad agencies for them are just logistical. Like they're just
Apple still has an ad agency. They do. Yeah. They still place everything. I don't know who is doing.
They paused or they reduced spend on Twitter at the recommendation of their ad agency.
Yeah. And that's exactly that very point. So the ad agencies do step in because they have, again, these relationships. They're the online people, the people who are, you know, too online and know exactly what's going on and what have you. While
did PetSmart like say anything about Twitter? Do we do any advertising on Twitter?
We do for certain clients. We do advertising on Twitter, but it's never been a big thing for any of our clients.
I do think they have pulled back a little bit.
They almost eliminated Facebook when the
ask app not to track.
Something happened and they almost completely. Well, no, they did. They paused Facebook spending. Which the majority of the spending is still from Facebook. as far as our clients are concerned.
I actually just had a run in with that ask app not to track thing. I found like I was doing.
You okay?
I just wanted to search on eBay, and it wouldn't load the app unless I allowed it to track. It was like, you have this setting off. You need to turn it on. And it's like,
Facebook
okay.
Meta has been really aggressive about getting you to turn that shit on.
Yeah, it's both. Like eBay wouldn't even let me load the app. Like it wouldn't let me browse unless I had it on.
Oh, wow.
They're definitely considering that nuclear option. I'd be surprised if they weren't already A/B testing.
I did. Once I turned it on, I could get in, and then I was able to turn it off, and now it's letting me search without it. But I also don't like the language. Like I don't like the language of like ask the app not to track. Well, we're gonna ask them, and they might say no. You know, it should just be like don't allow.
No, it does. It does lock them out. Like it does prevent them from doing it. I wonder.
I just think that the language needs to be a little more.
I mean, I don't
know.
I think that
what it does.
I think the language to me reads like it came out of a focus group where they just found the majority of people they would rather you say yes to it than no. I think you're more likely to just passively agree to a thing, as in ask them not to track, as opposed to the inverse, where you'd have to hit decline.
No, it's not that. It's literally just the language. Ask them not to track.
Okay,
like that right there, to me says that if I say ask them not to track, then it's not me telling them don't track me. It's me asking them.
Does that lower your likelihood of saying yes?
No, I mean I'm still gonna say ask them not to track me because that's the option that I have. It doesn't make it seem like it locks them out of tracking.
Maybe it's Apple punting. Maybe it's them saying, well, if they do find a way to track, it's not our fault. Or should we just ask them?
Maybe. It just doesn't seem like the language doesn't make it sound like you're locking them out of tracking you. It just sounds like you're leaving it up to the app themselves to decide whether or not they're going to.
But they still have ways. Like Facebook is still able to piece some of your shit together. Maybe it's just not wanting to give you a false sense of security.
Maybe
it has definitely put a dent in Zuckerberg's hat in his car.
Put a dent in his Tesla.
Do you have time to end out on a fun one?
Yeah, let's end out on a fun one.
All right. I was going to say we should end, but
let's keep it quick.
As long as it's quick.
Andrew Tate got shit on so hard by Greta Thunberg that he got arrested.
Yeah.
It was beautiful.
He got arrested. He tried to pick a fight with a teenage girl on the internet, and he got arrested.
What was he even doing? Why did he? Was it just out of the blue with the whole Bugatti?
So he unprompted this adult man. And for those of you who don't know, Andrew Tate is like one of those manosphere influencers.
Before you go too far, he didn't get arrested because
that's the joke, Carl. Come on.
No.
Believe what
Carl,
you want.
Come on.
Believe what you want.
It's clickbait nonsense. Knock that shit off.
Believe what you want. He got arrested because he got shit on so hard by a teenage girl on the internet.
No.
So Andrew Tate is a manosphere influencer guy. You might recognize him from such hits as buy my course for $200 so that you're not a cuck anymore. But that's all of them, I think. He had a podcast interview that I really liked where he was talking about how his little brother was like excited about being good at a video game at like Modern Warfare 2 or something. And he tells this story, and sometimes it's not realized how big of a piece of shit he is, where his brother was like excited about this thing when he's like a kid. And then he's like, yeah, but does it matter? Are you making any money on it?
I tell it to my 8-year-old all the time.
Exactly. Yeah. Like, why are you over here enjoying things? You need to make yourself miserable.
You were the imposter in Among Us, and you killed everybody within 5 seconds.
Yeah.
Does it matter?
What's the ROI on that, bitch? What the fuck, dude?
Why don't you fucking sweep the floor like I asked you to earlier today?
Yeah, the grind set.
Mine is make your bed.
So he's a horrible piece of shit. He's like very big manly dude. He does this thing where he'll go on like a Twitter
kickboxer, bro.
To his millions of followers, and he's like, yeah, I actually don't give a shit about any of you. Like I'll just block random ones of you. He's like, oh, look at this comment. Oh, hi, Andrew, big fan of blocked.
He's got a
and
Bugatti.
so he does this thing, and people eat that shit up. But it's like you if you actually wanted to be your own person, if you actually wanted to pretend that you don't need the validation from this audience, that you clearly need it to live, delete your account, log off. Like if you don't care about them, why are you doing a fucking Twitter space? Why are you spending all of your time going on podcasts to be seen and heard? You fucking little bitch.
You got to get to get to the actual exchange.
Yeah.
So he posted a tweet. He posted a tweet unprompted because he got kicked off of everything for being a huge piece of shit. Recently, new Twitter let him in, and
New Twitter.
He
Twitter
said
2.0.
So he said on December 27th, he tweeted, "Hello at Greta Thunberg." Just a cold open, basically a cold email. I have 33 cars. My Bugatti has a W16 8-liter quad turbo. My two Ferrari 812 Competizione. That's Italian, certainly.
You need to start again.
I can't be bothered.
Carl,
Have 6.5 liter V12s. This is just a start. So he's just humble bragging. Please provide your email address so I can send a complete list of my car collection, their respective enormous emissions. Keep in mind, this is an unprompted tweet sent to a teenager by someone who doesn't care what anybody else thinks. Remember that. He does not care. And as you can tell from the tweet, he does not care what anybody else thinks. And so Greta Thunberg, the climate change activist, she's not just a teenage girl, very, very widely known.
She's not going to be a teenager forever.
Isn't she 18?
She's got to be at least 18.
Yeah, she's like 18. She's I mean, I understand like teenager, sure, she's still till 19, but she's a fucking adult.
She responded, so she, whatever. She said, yes, please do enlighten me. Email me at smalldickenergy@getalife.com is what, and then, which is, it's pretty... It's okay. It's a pretty good burn.
It's a good one. It's a good one, yeah.
And then Andrew Tate responds, "How dare you?" with an exclamation point and a question mark. Like,
and then 10 hours later,
it was an interrobang.
It's really upset.
10 hours later,
10 hours later, he has his real, like, actual good response where he tweets a video of him smoking a cigar in his little office with his ugly ass oak wood wall panels, saying, "Thank you for confirming via your email address that you have a small penis at Greta Thunberg. The world was curious, and I do agree you should get a life." So he's just doing the "I'm rubber, you're glue. Anything you say to me bounces off and sticks to you."
Dude,
like he's doing middle school.
Dude, he pulled the jerk store. He pulled the jerk store comeback from Seinfeld. That's what he did. Do you guys are you not familiar with the jerk store comeback?
I don't know if I know this.
So this whole episode, like George gets like, he's in the office setting and someone throws some snark at him. He's like the whole time he's like fuming, and he finally comes up with the most amazing comeback, the jerk store comeback. And then, the guy ends up leaving the company or he's in some other place, but George drives down to Ohio to meet with to be in a boardroom with this guy, and he's eating a bunch of shrimp. And the guy goes, "Hey, George, the ocean called, they're running out of shrimp." And he goes, "Okay. All right. Well, the jerk store called. Yeah, and they're running out of you." And it's like he just thinks it's this amazing comeback, and it just falls flat,
It says, in the video, you get some good quotes from in here, and I would be upset if you didn't pull some of these, Randy.
Did you see the Matt Walsh response?
Can I quote the video real quick?
Sure, go for it.
It says, "I'm not actually mad at Greta because she doesn't realize she's been programmed. She's doing the 'I'm not mad, please don't put in the newspaper that I was mad' drill tweet. Because she doesn't realize she's been programmed. She doesn't realize she's a slave to the Matrix. She thinks she's doing good. Someone has sat her down and convinced her to try and convince you to beg your government to tax you into poverty to stop the sun from being hot." So incredibly tortured. But
into poverty.
To tax you into poverty.
The sun being hot.
The sun being, yeah. Like he's still on this like thing where he's like randomly going after her. Like she did not, the best part about it is that she did not like, she didn't fucking give him the time of day. Like she did not like respond on the merits. She didn't do maybe what he was expecting her to do, which is to be like, "No, like you shouldn't do that. That's bad." She just said, "Fuck you, suck my dick." Yeah. And he didn't know how to respond to that. So he's just like keeping up that like momentum that he already had for his like campaign that he was going to launch. And so he's still on the fucking sun shit. But yeah, the "I'm not mad," him saying "I'm not mad" is amazing. There's also a point in this video where he asked somebody to hand him some pizza. And someone off frame brings him 2 boxes of pizza. And on the pizza boxes, a little bit of context. He's been on the run from the authorities for doing crimes such as human trafficking and running basically like a sweatshop for cam girls, essentially, and just being a huge piece of shit. like just evil shit. So he's been on the run, and he asks someone off frame to bring him pizza, and it's an obscure local restaurant near where he lives in Romania. People are speculating that this may have been what ultimately tipped the Romanian authorities off to come and get his ass, which would be amazing.
It would be absolutely amazing. Yeah.
No, he's been arrested.
Yeah, he doesn't care about.
No, the picture of him getting arrested is awesome because he looks like the Savile guy that he is deep inside. Vapid.
I actually didn't really know what he looked like until I saw this.
Really?
Can you do the Matt Walsh?
Yeah,
tweet, Randy?
I don't follow this guy.
The Matt Walsh tweet is it's taken the Andrew Tate 10-hour response to a whole nother level, which is basically people are acting like this is the greatest insult of all time, and meaning Greta Thunberg's is the greatest insult of all time, and pretending not to notice that she completely fumbled it by saying that this is her own email address.
just so stupid.
Just totally completely missing the fucking
idiots,
joke.
A bunch of big dummies.
Yeah. Small dick energy at getalife.com is Greta's real email address.
Yeah. Oh, actually,
somebody
about it, you owned yourself. I'm not owned. I'm not owned.
Somebody has a comment. It's like Matt Walsh enters a bar and gets asks a girl for a number, and she writes on the notepad 1-800 eat a dick, or she's like,
oh,
he looks at it, he's like, oh wow, she eats dick. Like,
nice phone number, idiot. You should get a new one. Matt Walsh is awesome because he tweeted recently some transphobic shit where he was like, oh yeah, no, pronouns, like they're not real. You can't just decide what your pronouns are. Like that's just something that you just have. It's like, Matt, what's Matt short for? You changed your fucking name. What are you talking about? So big idiots.
There was one on in the Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu community. I think it's Gordon Ryan. He's like huge like BJJ star, and I think probably one of the best ever to compete. And he's just like on this Twitter war, and someone's like, yeah, here's him showing his amazing intellect again because this commenter said something like, everybody has pronouns, and he's like, look at this idiot who said everybody has pronouns. and like the one comment that like was like the top comment on Reddit was something along the lines of just saying this, just like, well, Gordon Ryan is absolutely correct in the statement because Gordon Ryan does not have any pronouns, and when Gordon Ryan is talking about himself, or when Gordon Ryan is talking about Gordon Ryan, he only talks about Gordon Ryan in the third person because Gordon Ryan does not have pronouns.
Yeah,
it's just ridiculous. But it's kind of along the same lines. It's like everybody has
Randy,
fucking pronouns.
You were right. If stuff like this keeps happening, Randy, Twitter 1,000 years. Twitter is not going anywhere.
The best comment to the Matt Walsh's, which is anti-groomer Matt Walsh sticking up for a man literally under investigation for sex trafficking. It was from David C. Bell or Movie Hooligan at Movie Hooligan. Give credit where credit's due, man. That was a good tweet.
Yeah. This isn't the pot calling the kettle black. This is the giant obsidian obelisk from Arrival calling the kettle black.
Fucking idiots, man. All right, you guys ready? Wrap it up.
Yep.
Episode 17.
I'm gonna plug the voicemail again because it's all I've done for the last 3 days. Is work on this fucking page. So if you want to get your voice,
we got your buddy's voicemail dogging on Android.
Oh, he's been testing it.
Yeah, he did a rap, and then he said iPhone's microphone is better than Android's.
Got it.
So I thought maybe he was preempted by something that you might have said about me or something.
No, I don't.
I'll take the bait, though. I'll take the bait.
He's a listener.
Let me just clarify. Okay, iPhone, one device. Like which Android? Because he said that he's a user of both Android and iPhone.
He does. He has like 6 phones. He does have 6 phones.
It's like, I mean,
hi, Coke. Hello.
It's too many. There's too many Androids. So that'd be a weird comparison.
That's kind of the problem, though, don't you think? It's there's not one consistent operating system.
Too much competition is always a problem, Carl. That's right. You should just have one.
Oh, it's not. Oh, come on, please. There's like one real version of Android, and then everything else is just the bastardized version of Android. That's not competition. I just
love
bullshit.
how you guys are so pro open source until it comes to your
yes,
phone.
That's literally everyone is like that. That's everyone is like that. Yeah, I'm pro open source when it's not my shit. Yeah, absolutely. No, we should do some open source stuff. But okay, go to wedocrime.com/voicemail. Send us a message, ask us a question, give us some advice, some feedback, do a bit, tell a story.
You got about 30 seconds to do that, though. You only have 30 seconds.
50 seconds is the current limit.
Oh, you changed it to
it'll
50
transcribe
seconds?
it for you. Kind of. Don't worry about the accuracy. It's just experimental stuff. It's just keep us organized and let us search for stuff.
And you could appear on the
easier.
show.
Yeah, your voice on this show.
Yeah.
Next to us, which will be,
by the way, do we have
may or may not incriminate you in the future. Picture
like a
your
licensing
voice.
agreement or user content license, like privacy, any terms, any kind of thing.
No.
We should probably throw that on there.
Imagine. No, don't worry about it. It's fine. It's fine. Imagine your voice being heard aloud in the courtroom when we're all being sued into oblivion for probably like something we would never expect to be sued into oblivion for. There's a million like clear.
Probably something that you said.
Something that you said.
And we aired.
And that we aired. So if you want your choice, if you've got any dog whistles, drop them. Drop your dog whistles here. If you're trying to activate a sleeper cell.
We are pretty sensitive to some of the dog whistles, by the way, but with
a code phrase. Yeah, you can try it. You can try it. See how good our content moderation skills are. Maybe we should be the new Twitter CEOs, the three of us.
Yeah.
Elon, I know we've said some bad things, but if you're still looking, we've got you, man. We know how advertising works, mostly.
Mostly.
Between the three of us, we've got a pretty good handle.
I think we'd be all right. Certainly more than you. Elon. I'm speaking to Elon. We certainly know more than him about advertising.
Yeah. Well, I'm excited to hear from you. I'm excited to hear your messages.
Elon Musk does not have pronouns.
Oh, and just so you know, your messages, the way that they are presented to us is that right now they are just being streamed directly into our Slack channel for this podcast. So you basically will be part of that conversation as well. And it costs us money when you do it too. It costs us money when you submit these things.
Oh, God damn, Drew. Why are you saying all this?
People know.
You're just going to cut it out. Just cut it out.
No. People need to see behind the curtains. We're going to make it all open source anyway.
No, they don't. We don't need somebody developing a fucking robot to autofill this shit.
We got CAPTCHA. I didn't set it up yet, but we can. Yeah, right now there's no CAPTCHA on this. The entire site doesn't have CAPTCHA on it, by the way, so you can go nuts.
All right. Good night, guys.
Good night.
Good night.
Now watch this drive.
So we have to protect our genius.
We're not selling anybody's data.
Now watch this drive.
I have a son. He's 10 years old. He has computers. He is so good with these computers.
We're not selling anybody's data.